I stand by what I said in a previous intro. That video still gets shittier the more I watch it, but I don't get paid to do this. So welcome back, speaking of not getting paid, to another episode of TMG's The Rundown. My name is Aaron Knoll, and I'm excited to be here to discuss all the latest and greatest, and in this case, one of the worst in everything and anything in film. Yeah, excited to be here. This is a topic that, like, way back when I first conceived the idea of the show, this was one of the things where, like, naturally I had watched a whole bunch of the Marvel movies, and I was like, this is a topic that I could do. And now we're getting to it eventually, and I couldn't be happier to have the guest that I have here with me, a man who certainly more than proved that he knew not just geek stuff, but movies when he participated in a little show most people know called the Movie Trivia Schmodown. He also has done a lot of other great things online, including his podcast. And I'm going to bring him in without the grand intro because, Notorious Chance, right?
Notorious by Chance.
Okay, because I was terrified I was going to fuck the name up, so I wanted to make sure. Notorious by Chance.
Yes.
And that was the team name, right? Just Notorious Chance.
Yes, it was.
Team. Okay. See, it's all there in the memory banks. Chance Ellison is here with me. How are you doing, man?
All right, I'm right. I can guarantee you we're not talking the latest or the greatest in this part of the episode, but we are here.
No. Yeah, so we are discussing, so the title for this episode that you guys see on YouTube is Marvel Legacy. And if you're wondering what Marvel Legacy is, it's this arbitrary title that Disney Plus used when they first started uploading X-Men films, but only certain films went under that banner. So like the Spider-Man films, when they went on Disney Plus, you could not find if you searched Marvel Legacy, but like the Daredevil films, if you searched them, would come up under that. And I found it weird that it was just this arbitrary pick and pull of what counted for this banner they'd put on Disney Plus. And then most of the movies that were under that banner were then accredited in Deadpool and Wolverine, which is what inspired the thought of the topic. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. The more legitimate answer upon doing some research just to try and figure out what it could be is apparently the films that fall under the Marvel Legacy banner are movies that Kevin Feige had a hand in producing prior to being made a head producer at Marvel Studios. He worked a lot on the X-Men and Fox films. He did not work on the Spider-Man films as much. So I believe that's the delineation. But either way, to explain the topic today of Marvel Legacy, Deadpool and Wolverine was essentially a tribute film to a lot of what came before it. Specifically, if you add up, including Deadpool and Wolverine, the 14 X-Men movies, the 2 Daredevil Elektra films, the 3 theatrically released Fantastic Four films, since we all know there's a 4th.
Yeah.
But the 3 ones that were released properly.
3 that count. No offense, but 3 that count.
The 3 that count, yeah. That, I was going to make a joke about the 4th one, but honestly, it's really actually not that much worse than any of the others, as we'll get
The weird thing is the fact that it might be the best out of the 4 of them.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then the 3 Blade films, you put that all together and you get 22 films, which works out evenly for the show's format of 11 films per list. Why 11 films? Because it's arbitrary, and our good friend Malcolm Lay does 12, so we're doing 11. So with that said, part 1 of this episode is going to be the first half of these 22 Marvel Legacy films. But before we get into the actual list, Chance, I like to ask people a very basic question before we start, which is, why. In this instance, why Marvel's history, Marvel's legacy, the X-Men films, and the why can be whatever it means to you. Why is it important? Why do you love it? Why do you hate it? But just why.
Well, I think that when you look at comic book movies, Marvel specifically, their road I think was far more interesting than DC's. And like with like DC, you had your two big hits, you had Superman the movie, and then Batman '89. Then it just took off. Then it had a weird slump in the late mid '90s. Then they came back with Batman Begins, but Marvel didn't have the marketability that like they weren't a Superman. Like Wolverine was big, but he wasn't Batman. He wasn't Superman. Spider-Man was big, but that's not what we're counting here. So like they had to, kind of scrap, kind of fight to get where they are, and it's a big kind of snowball effect as to how like, you can't talk about modern day Marvel without talking about this, which is why I think that Deadpool Wolverine was so cool because like they acknowledge like like you kind of laid the groundwork for the modern landscape of comic movies, and I mean I think this is as movies are coming out like. I think that because Blade was '98, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so like I literally like was there for the entire like run of Marvel Legacy. Whether I watched them all in real time or not, it's a different story. But like I was there for the entire run, so I got to see these movies evolve and go in interesting directions. But yeah, no, I think that like the Marvel Legacy films have their highlights. Like the highs, I think still hold up. The lows exist, but I think that I'm always gonna have a fondness for like this era of Marvel and this era of comic book film, where like sometimes they hit it, they get it right. Sometimes they had absolutely no idea what they were doing, but either way, it was usually pretty fun or interesting to see go down.
Yeah, I think you make the point really well. I feel like compared to especially where the dialogue around the MCU is now, and a lot has been said online about like the MCU formula that exists to how they make movies. All of these films, I feel like to some extent represent the concept of risk, whether it's when they were developed themselves or the directions they went in compared to predecessors. Like there was risks being taken. And funny enough, like this hat, I bought it. It's a Brave New World hat. Like that's a movie that I feel like is at times very risk averse. Even though I personally did enjoy it, I don't think it takes enough risk. This is the opposite.
I'll concur with you on that one. Like I did like Brave New World more than most. I do think that it does suffer from borrowing and going back to some plot points from previous MCU film. But I do like the movie. And I'm sad I didn't like it more because I like Mackie. I like him in that role. I think he deserved a stronger film. And I hope he gets another film in the future. I hope we don't have to wait like too long to see him again. But yeah, I think that look, like it or not, a lot of these movies did try something. Did it work always? No. But they tried. They tried to do it.
Someone tried. Well, okay, maybe not the bottom 2 or 3. I don't know if anyone tried for that.
Some definitely didn't try, but some did try.
All right, man. Well, let's not waste any more time. We'll go ahead and get into it. The way the show works is we trade back and forth going through with our top 11 list. Because this is a part 1 of 2, today we'll be doing 22 through 12. So Chance will go ahead and start us off. He'll go through his 23 through 19 first, then I'll do mine. Then he'll do 18 through 15, then I'll go, and then we'll trade back and forth for our top 3. If a film that is said is in a different section of the list, just let me know. Tell me to wait, say punt, whatever word you'd like to use to identify to me that we're going to wait to talk about that film until later. If it's in the same portion of the list, we can talk about it when it's brought up. So to exemplify that, if your 19 is my 20, we'll talk about it when you bring it up. But if your 19 is my 17, we'll wait till we get there.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair enough.
All right. Any questions?
No, I think I got it.
All right, man. Well, then let's get into this conversation. Chance, go ahead and start us off, man. The bottom of the barrel. What is your number 22?
Oh, what a fucking crew we got right here. So my number 22 is Elektra.
That is my 19.
Wow. Okay. I'm fascinated. What do you have lower than this?
Oh, it gets more controversial in a minute, but go ahead.
So yeah, 22 is Elektra. 21 is the.
Oh no,
Uh,
you can talk about the film
oh,
and
I'm
kind
sorry.
of go
Okay,
one
yeah.
by one.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
go
So
ahead.
Elektra. Look, let's be real. You'll be hearing about it soon. The first Daredevil, not great, but it's really impressive that you somehow managed to get even worse. Like Elektra in the comics is actually like a really cool character. She has like a lot of like interesting backstories. Like sort of Matt Murdock and the Hand is really cool. But yeah, God, is that not what we got here? Like at all? Like it's a movie that suffers from like all the worst tendencies of the early like 2000s comic movies, to where like weird obsession with leather, badly shot action sequences, bad CG, like a, a refusal to really embrace the comic book nature of these characters. Way too self serious. I like Jennifer Garner as an actress, but God, she doesn't. She didn't work very well in Daredevil. She works even worse here. The
Oh,
one thing I will give credit for, there is one bit. I don't know if you remember this. It's when she throws one of her sai, and it travels like 500 yards just to hit somebody in the face. Like that. I every time I see that, I laugh so hard. But this movie is bad, low key, kind of sexist, but it's awful,
yeah,
awful.
yeah, yeah. When you really think about it, it's.
When you really look at it back, you're like, God damn, that is a little sexist.
Could we expect any less? This was like, wasn't this in Catwoman the same year?
No, I think this is the year after Catwoman.
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
but
I think
both
this is
both both
'05.
kind of sexist.
'05. Same year as Batman Begins. That's even worse.
Eesh. Yeah, Electra is 19 for me. The so both its biggest flaw and the only reason why it's above the other three at the bottom for me is lack of production value. On one hand, this movie's biggest weakness is it has zero production value,
Oh, it
like
has none. It looks
at
terrible.
all. Like by the time we reached the third act of this movie, I was begging for the sandbags to come back because they couldn't be that expensive. Like
I
just
miss the
anything,
sandbags. This movie made me miss the sandbags from Daredevil.
like anything would have been better. But it also gets above the other three because, and I'm sure we'll have a similar set of films right at the bottom. But the other three for me that are below it, they at least had a budget, they had production value, which makes the fact that they're this bad worse
Even
for
worse.
me. Whereas Elektra kind of gets an excuse to get away with how bad it is because no one cared. Like I I cannot substantiate this at all, but I read somewhere once years ago that like there was this belief that this film was like part of a script for a Daredevil 2, and because Ben Affleck wouldn't go ahead with it, they just turned it into an Elektra, and it has that feel. It has that
No,
feel of
yeah,
like this was slapped
I can
together.
buy that, and I mean it does
Like I said,
feel like he's
can't
trying to
can't
give
claim
this.
it's true. I don't know, but I heard that and I
Yeah,
believe it
if
could
that's
be.
true, I totally believe it. You can also like totally see him trying to co-sign it by doing the cameo that ultimately got cut.
Yeah. Well, they would. Were they together by that point? Did they get
They
together
were,
that quickly?
yes.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Yeah. I don't want to be in the movie, but I'll support you.
You got this, honey. I believe in you.
Get out there and show them.
You got this.
Uh, and also, especially because he's so iconic, specifically in the realm of comic book films as General Zod, Terrence
Oh, Terrence
Stamp
Stamp
just
is thick.
phoning it in is
Like
awful.
he very clearly like he does not want to be there.
No,
Like
not
in
at all.
any scene, he doesn't look like he wants to be there.
He read his pages that morning. Like
Yeah.
it's not good.
You apparently feel the grip off screen, holding a coffee, ready for him to take it, ready for him to take it so he can call cut.
Uh yeah, I mean other than that there's just not much more to say about this. Like just it's badly made, badly written, on every level. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's your 21?
21 is the movie affectionately known as Fant Four Stick.
Okay, that is my 22.
Yeah, okay, that figures. Uh, the fact that I mean, I know the warning signs were there because this was 100% a rights movie. this is one, like, we got to make a Fantastic Four film or else we're going to lose the rest of the characters. But, like, the thing is, the pieces were there. You had Josh Trank, who, we heard something about him later, but he made Chronicle, which was a good movie.
Right.
Got a really, really good cast. Like, what we later found out, because like, they were like known, but not like totally known at the time.
Yeah.
But like, he got good actors to fill out these roles. And then, but like everything we saw from it leading up, we're just like, oh no, how but we're still like, how bad can this be? Because it did at least look very different from the Tim Story Fantastic Fours.
Yes.
But then we watched and we're just like, oh, I didn't know you could go this low. Like the fact, like it feels like I'm not gonna put it all on Josh Trank because you can very clearly tell like when the studio took the movie away from him, and it just became
when it says 1 year later.
Exactly, everything after 1 year later, you can very clearly tell
the movie.
Fox took it, and it just became superhero movie. Like that, and it's just generic. Like the action sucks. It looks awful, and it's another Fantastic Four film where they are yet again the cause of the thing they're trying to fight. Like there's so many elements of it that just make absolutely no sense. A waste of a really, really great cast. A waste of absolute potential. And yeah, it's no wonder that I remember when this was supposed to be in the same universe as the X-Men, and then it came out when it's like, yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, because it wasn't Singer, wasn't it Vaughn's name got tied to this because he was involved still at the time?
I think it was Kinberg.
Oh, was it Kinberg? Okay, yeah. I just remember somebody's name being tied to this, and they're like, yeah, they're connected, and then it bombed, and it's like, no, they're not.
No, they're not. No, we're good. The fact that like the movie's just like, for a movie called Fantastic Four, it's just way too dull. Like it doesn't show us anything at all fantastic, and like the majority of the film is them just doing science stuff and talking in dark rooms. That's all you get, and like it's another movie where they are very clearly afraid to embrace the more because like Fantastic Four is a ridiculous film. Let's call it what it is. It is a ridiculous, campy comic, but like at least the Tim Story movies try to be a little more lighthearted, try a little more family oriented, try to lean into that. Whereas like this one is almost feels like it's embarrassed to be a Fantastic Four film, except when it's not. Like the fact, like because I remember like early on, Victor Von Doom, like he wasn't even called Victor Von Doom. He was like Victor like Domashev or
I was going to bring this up.
Domatov or whatever the fuck he was called. And, like
it was Domashev.
Domashev,
you were right the first time, yeah.
Yeah, like he was. You take a guy who was the ruler, and like I feel like we've never gotten Doctor Doom done properly on screen, and I'm praying we finally get that happen in Doomsday, but the fact that like he was already done badly in the story of Fantastic Four, the fact that you take this dude who is the ruler of his own nation, and you say, "Now fuck all that, we're gonna make him an internet troll," and not only that, like after the fans raged so hard over his name change, they ADR'd every single drop,
and it's so obvious
because you never see anybody say it.
I think the worst one is like. I want to say it's Franklin Storm. There's like one of the dark lit rooms where they're talking. Yeah. He's like talking about Victor, and literally the entire shot up until you get to his last name, you see his face, and then it like cuts to like a paper with his face on it and Von Doom, and then it cuts back to the wide, and it's like, gee, could you guys not take one more? Could you, like, we know you reshot this thing. Could you not take once, like, to fix that? Or
yeah, I mean, I really would have liked to see Josh Trank's like full version of the film, but because like no matter how like good or bad, no matter how it was, like it had to be better than this.
And like my like Fantastic Four. So I saw this opening day, like back when it came out, because I remember specifically it was like the review embargo was held till Friday morning at like 10 a.m. my time.
They held that as long as they possibly could.
And then the reviews dropped. They were disastrous. And I was just like, I got to see this thing. And it's awful. But a couple, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago at this point, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to say it's the worst movie, I have to watch it again just to like make sure. And I remember watching the first, like whatever, 30, 40 minutes. And I'm like, okay, like this is like a 6 or like a 5. Like it's
Yeah,
not good,
you're
but it's
watching,
not
you're just like,
bad.
okay, like I don't like what he's doing, but
But
like I'm at
when like
least kind of interested.
yeah, and like the cast, I mean, despite all the stories of like physical fighting and whatever was going on that set, like the cast have chemistry on screen. They do get along with each other, and as actors, I think they work well off each other. Toby Kebbell might have been the most exciting bit of casting for me because he was right off the back of Koba and
Yeah.
Dawn, and like, I mean, again, that guy playing Doom done right could have been, even with the whole troll angle, like it could have been done really well. But it's like, it's what you said. We're like, this movie's so Trank wrote a movie that's not a Fantastic Four film. He wrote like a Cronenbergian inspired body horror movie. And there's little bits of that left in here, specifically the scene where like Reed first stretches and there's like that just infinite arm stretch and like the horrified look on his face. And like part of that is still left in this. But it's embarrassed to be what it was shot to be and was clearly fucked with in reshoots and editing.
Oh,
But it's
that,
also embarrassed to be a Fantastic Four film. And you're exactly right. Like, so it just becomes nothing. It's a nothing movie that has no mind of its own. It has no real strong story premise. The most interesting things are told to you because they happen off screen. And like by the end of it all, we're like high-fiving and being like, can't wait for the sequel. And I'm like, nobody like it
oh,
to go
it
back to
also has like I think the worst like title drop fake out I've ever seen in the movie, where just like it's fantastic, guys. I got it. I never had to say it in that. Screw you, audience. Never said it in the movie.
it's guys, I got it. Fan four stick.
Get the fuck out. like again,
Yeah.
I think that maybe we'll see it with first steps, and like the trailer looks good, but like it looked like they were
I
kind
have
of
hope.
what it's supposed to be. But like with a property like this, you kind of got to lean into the ridiculousness of it, because like yeah, it is a silly goofy property. So like trying to get me to take a movie seriously with a guy named Von Doom in it, I'm like get the fuck out of my house. No.
Okay, I'm not gonna act like this, what I'm about to reference, seriously gets me excited for Fantastic Four, because that'd be insane. But if anyone here, especially by the time this uploads, because it'll be just a little bit older, if anybody has seen the clip of Pedro performing at the SNL 50th thing, like that's the tone of what I want for this. Just we don't care, we're having fun. Like, because that's what this really should be. It's weird, it's goofy, like fucking Mole Man's in this movie. Like, just have fun with it.
I think
Don't
Mole Man
take yourselves
was
too
supposed to be in
seriously.
this one.
I believe so. Yeah, I think wasn't
I
that
think
Tim Blake
Blake
Nelson?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which, God, are there any universes left for him to try and get a real role?
Well, I mean, he got cut out of Dune, so maybe try it again.
James, you hiring? James is always hiring. What are we saying?
I mean,
DC's always hiring.
James is hiring. James, get my man some more work. I mean, I can't say anything without spoiling.
Yes, yeah.
Oh wait, this is coming out later, isn't it?
Oh no, it's not live. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Fuck it. At this point,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like he's probably coming back in the MCU at some point. But even then, James, like Tim Blake Nelson's like one of our most underrated talents. Give the dude some work. Give the brother some work.
All right, man. What's your number 20?
20. I have X-Men Origins Jimmy or X-Men Origins Wolverine. I got beef with this.
By the slimmest of margins, that's a punt.
Really? Fuck. All right.
Slimmest of margins.
Okay.
All right. So what's your 19?
19. I have a movie that is known on my show as the Phoenix film, Dark Phoenix.
That is also a punt.
God damn.
No. By the way, I should say, this list is split almost perfectly for me. There are 11 films that are mediocre bad to bad, and 11 films that are mediocre good to good. So this being a punt is not a positive affirmation. All right, so we'll go through then. So Dark, you had X-Men Origins, Dark Phoenix. then we'll get to my list. So unless one of these films is your 18, then we'll punt all of them, okay? So my 22 was Fant Four Stick. My 21 was Blade Trinity.
But again, by some margins, punt.
Gotcha. And then my 20, which this is probably the most controversial take on this list. Daredevil is below Elektra for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a punt. I'm fascinated to hear why, but that is a punt.
Okay. Gotcha. So 20 is Daredevil, and then 19
why,
is Elektra.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back around. What's your 18?
My 18 is Blade Trinity.
Blade Trinity. Gotcha. Okay.
Like Blade was very important for Marvel in a lot of ways. It kickstarted the brand of Marvel movies taken seriously. Kickstarted the trend of having a better sequel, and kicked off the trend of having the third movie absolutely suck balls. Like Blade Trinity, just take everything awesome about the first two films, and then just go, yeah, screw it. We think we can do it better. And no, you cannot. For my money, actually, I misranked. I think I misranked these. But fuck it, I'll leave it. Because like as I'm talking about it, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this is Ryan Reynolds' worst comic movie. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
No, yeah, I'll leave it as is. It's too late. We already got on record. But yeah, I think that you can very clearly tell Reynolds.
You said Origins at 20.
No, I know. I mean, if I'm looking at it now, I'm like, I probably should have flipped these two. But
yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Whatever. I think like Reynolds is very clearly trying to make something happen, but everyone in this cast has negative chemistry. The one person that Snipes had chemistry with, they axed off in the first like 30 minutes, and it's dumb. It pisses me off. Like Dracula's in this movie is a complete fuck. I like Dominic Purcell, but him as Dracula is a complete fucking waste because there's nothing interesting.
I would say he's miscast, but I can't even understand what they're trying to get at with the character. Like, yeah, like honestly, it kind of feels like they're trying to rehash the villain from the first film, but like kind of differently, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and like this is the one where they really get on board, like trying to put vampires in like literally everything. Like there's a vampire anything in this movie. You can tell Snipes is clearly out of it. Like you hear the behind the scenes stories of like his antics on set, and like he didn't care. I think I had this high because of the one scene where he's laying on the table and they very clearly CG animate the eyes opening on him because he didn't even want to open his eyes for the take.
He was petty.
He was petty. Thankfully, he came around. And the last memory of what's like this Blade is not this.
Yeah. So this one was number 21 for me. Look, he's already 50-50 as a writer. David Goyer's a poor excuse for a director. I mean, like, let's just call it. I'm gonna upfront say it, and I say this as someone who has like I had to punt Dark Phoenix. David Goyer is only not the worst director in this group because Simon Kinberg also tried his hand at directing, and that was worse. But David Goyer proves why like producer writers should not be directing films. They are not the same job. Just because you can write something doesn't mean you can shoot it. And this is also the worst written film, far and away, of the three.
Yes, absolutely.
But you're exactly right. Like this to me ranks so low because it's so poorly made, but also no one has chemistry. Like not even on like because the movie doesn't really try romantic stuff, but like pulling up this cast: Wesley Snipes, Beale, Reynolds, Purcell, Christopherson, Parker Posey, Triple H, Natasha Lyonne, John Michael Higgins, Patton Oswalt, James Remar. Like that's a talented cast, and none of them act like they like each other.
None of them gel. It feels like they all shot their scenes separately and they were edited together.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that we know Reynolds and Snipes shot together is because they've been open about the fact they didn't like each other. Like, That's the only reason we can confirm they met. But yeah, no, it's like it feels cobbled together. No one has chemistry, and so to put context to it, going into this, the only films that I had to watch, like specifically for the podcast, were the Blade films. I'd never actually seen them.
Oh wow.
So I watched all three of these for the first time, and while I didn't necessarily love the first two, I guess spoiler alert, they're in the second half. Like they are on the positive side of me for this. So this is such a step backwards that like I couldn't even imagine if you were like a fan of Blade in the moment and you were like hyped going in, because I watched them all within a week. Like if you were hyped going into this and it's this bad, that gotta suck.
Yeah, I mean, I look at my list now. If I had to like re-rank, I'd probably put this below. I'd probably put this at 20 because yeah, this does piss me off because you took a character I really like, and this at the time was his send off.
Yeah. Well,
I
no,
guess
there
a little
was the
lighter
show
on.
with Sticky Fingers.
We didn't get the show with Sticky Fingers, but I mean, I think we're a little lighter on because we at least did get some good jokes in Dead Wolverine based on this movie. So sure.
Yeah, retroactively they roasted this enough, but like,
They did.
Yeah. All right. What's your 17?
17 is the punch from earlier, Daredevil.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that this is the movie that very clearly it was clear as day to all of us that Ben Affleck wanted to be Batman. He so very much wanted to be Batman that he did this. And this was, I think, like when you think of like 2000s comic book movies, this is the epitome of that. Like from again, I talked about the lecture, but like it's really heavy here. The weird emphasis on leather, the soundtrack that only could come out in 2003. Like Affleck's like "I'm Blind" face is one of the funniest things I've seen in comic films. Like it makes me laugh. Really, really bad. The fact that everything important takes place at night, I think this is a very emblematic thing of like the movie. The action sequences are very poor. The dialogue sucks. I've seen the director's cut. I don't think it's like a marketable improvement. Like I just think it's just the same movie but longer. Yeah, this movie is awful, and I'm happy that look, there's two things that keep it higher for me. It's Michael Clark Duncan and Colin Farrell, because they seem to be the only two that get it. Like they know they're in a bad movie and they're just hamming it up and having fun. Colin Farrell especially, like actually do think he's kind of fun as Bullseye. But,
he is.
Yeah, he just this movie is just it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's for me the thing that like the thing that in totality put this, because again, it probably the most absurd thing I'll say in this episode is that I would actually watch Elektra again before I watch this.
Is Elektra shorter?
I believe it's shorter. I can fact check that because I pulled up the Wikipedia for something else. So
I'm like, if it's shorter, then I'll give you that.
Daredevil's 103 and Elektra is 97, so barely.
Okay.
Barely. It is shorter. But for me, the way that Mark Steven Johnson shoots action gives me a fucking headache. And it's the same problem with Ghost Rider as well. Like, and that movie sucks too, but like it gives me a headache to try and watch this guy's action. That said, Ben Affleck is, I don't know if I call it trying, but he's not the worst he's ever been.
No, I mean, especially in this year. 2003 is undoubtedly the worst year of Ben Affleck's life.
It's honestly, it's almost a saving grace for him that, like, when you look at his career, like the points where he made like his worst films collectively, usually you can trace his life and be like, oh, some shit was going on. I guess that explains it.
Yeah, no, like 2003, he had Daredevil, Geely, and Paycheck all in the same year.
It's a bad year.
You'd be very hard pressed to find a worse year for an actor than that.
That should be a competition to get people to research it.
Worst years for actors. That's not bad, actually.
Yeah. But I do agree with you. Michael Clark Duncan and Colin Farrell. And I remember, I don't think he's in it that much. But I remember Joe Pantoliano also being fine, but he's usually good in most things.
Joey Pants is Joey Pants. He's good in everything.
But so I watched this movie as like a kid, and obviously when you're a kid, like you could think some things are better than others, but I don't think most kids have like the thought process to be like, that sucked. They just won't watch something again. So I remember watching this as a kid and just like never thinking about it again. And then I watched it as an adult, but I went directly to the extended cut because I'd heard it was better.
Oh, you watched the Coolio cut?
And it was just 30 more minutes of the same. Like it's the same thing, but longer. And it's like, no, this is still bad. Like it doesn't. Colin Farrell consistently gets a laugh out of me because he is so dedicated to what he's doing.
Yes.
And to this day, I can never hear Evanescence and not think of the sandbags.
Oh my god, the whole Evanescence sequence is absolutely the fact that they treat it so seriously makes it hysterical.
Like sometimes if I need a laugh, that scene is one of the things I'll look up on YouTube.
Because it's weird. It's like, is her butler like dropping all these sandbags? Like, who was controlling the sandbags? And why is she stabbing the blood here?
I like to imagine there's like a panel in a wall like Batman that just has rigs for all these different things to go up. And it is very intricate.
And then we clearly see the sandbag train did not work.
No, it did not. Was Elektra the one that had the sheets, or were the sheets also in this? I think the sheets were Elektra, right?
The sheets was Elektra.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, did this have two stupid things? No. Oh, did this have the playground fight? That was pretty bad.
This did have the playground fights. The fact, again, this is only 1 year later when we got the basketball scene in Catwoman.
Why?
Like, it felt like those two scenes were shot by the exact same person.
They might have been.
They weren't. I can tell you that, but like it really felt like it.
Oh, yeah. This it sucks. I mean, look at this point, all these movies are so bad at the bottom that it's like it really is just preferential treatment of what's not quite the worst. But yeah, for me, I think, like I said, Elektra gets a pass only because it is so cheap that like they didn't have a chance. But also, that action is like badly choreographed, but at least I can look at it. Whereas this is better action, but the way that it's shot, outside of the final fight with Michael Clark Duncan, it gives me a headache. I can't watch it. With that said, what is your 16?
16 is Fantastic Four, the first one.
That is my 16.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that this one's hard because, like, this was meant to be a more lighter, more family-friendly film. And in that, it succeeds, but also it feels like it's meant for family, but also, like, does ignore, like, large aspects of what made Fantastic Four cool. Like, there's two people I'll give credit to in this cast. That is, I mean, one's obvious, Chris Evans. Yes. I think that Chris Evans is actually pretty perfect as Johnny Storm.
Yes.
I think that when you talk about like good performances in bad movies, I think he's someone that you got to mention because like the dude plays a really good asshole, and I think he plays Johnny Storm really, really well. Also, give credit to Michael Chiklis of The Thing. Like the fact that he committed to that many hours of makeup every single day on set is quite impressive.
Yes. Yeah, and he's doing the best he can to fight through all of that and still make the performance. Like, I don't ever want to see that cast in a Fantastic Four film again, but I'd watch like the 6-episode spin-off of just those two. Yeah. Because their chemistry is also great.
They were. But yeah, Young Griffith, you're fine, I guess. Alba, completely miscast. Like you expect me to believe that you're a scientist? Fuck out of here. No.
That is
there's a scene where she's like literally only here for TNA. It's very clearly obvious. I think the worst part though is it's Julian crap, I can't remember his name. McMahon, that's it. Julian McMahon, Dr. Doom. I despise what they did to Dr. Doom in these films. And like he's already bad Fantastic Four and Fan Four Stick. He might be worse than this because at least like you know, he kind of had like something kind of interesting to him in Fantastic, whereas like kind of making him look like sniveling little kid in this one.
Yes.
Yeah, like the costume looks cheap and ridiculous. They don't do anything with their powers for the majority of the film. They don't try to be superheroes until like the last be generous, say 20 minutes. And it's only because they caused the things happening at the very end. But yeah, this movie is. I know it's supposed to be lighter, supposed to be more fun, but nah, still bad.
Yeah, it's like the best I can say about it is it's not the other one.
Yeah.
Like it's not Fantastic, but I don't know. This to me is one of the like greatest what ifs of the film industry because obviously, look, a lot of people will have bad things to say about Quantumania, and that's totally fair. But looking at the first Ant-Man and that tonal strike that Peyton Reed hits with that movie, I would be very interested to see what his original pitch for this movie would have looked like, and why did it not go through? Like, was it just it's bad, or was there another reason? Because this is just so 2000s generic that you both question why it was made, but also you understand.
Yeah. Yeah, but just bad all around.
Yeah. And you're right. To me, like when I rewatch this, like as an older person years later, um, yeah, Julian McMahon is Doctor Doom, just because there's no part of what they're attempting to do with this character that works with him, right? Like at least you could say for Kebble in the remake, like in his own unique way that they're trying to go about it, he is intimidating. You can at least see why he could be a threat to them. And he definitely has the insecurity that you see why he becomes who he becomes. Whereas here, it's like, it's all just ego. There's no part of you that understands why she's attracted to him. There's no part of you that understands why he's as apparently intelligent as he is. There's no part of you that understands, like outside of just having money, why he's in the position that he's in. And then when he becomes a villain, he's not threatening, like at all. I mean, he looks like a guy in a Halloween costume. And like again, like I think we'll get to the sequel, I'm sure, not too long from now, but he only looks better in that film because he's going up against a fart cloud in terms of villainy. Like he doesn't get better, he just has something worse to compete with.
Yeah.
He's woefully miscast here. But also it's so badly written that like I don't have an option in my head of like that would have been a better pick.
Yeah. It's just a bad it's a bad casting all around. Again, like it's for the fact that I've never seen Doctor Doom done properly on the big screen before.
No, and you'd like to think if Marvel are going to touch it, they have an idea they at least believe in.
Because like they gotta know that like when they announce RJ's back as Doom, it's like they gotta know that's gonna ring like, huh? But yeah.
All right, well then let's go ahead and jump into your number 15.
15. This might be my controversial pick. I think I have this lower than some people, but I'm going X-Men Apocalypse.
That is a slight punt.
Okay.
All right, so now we'll get back to some of those. We'll stay on X-Men. We'll get back to some of those punts from before. My 18 is X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm gonna start with my worst take on this film. Not because he's good, but because it is just so fascinating that he's in this movie. I do find entertainment in Will.i.am playing Will.i.am.
It's the cowboy hat. Like it's Will.i.am's cowboy hat.
It's the cowboy hat, and it's like the half-assed attempt at an accent.
I don't know why. I can complain about a lot of things in this film. Will.i.am's not one of them. I actually genuinely like him in this movie.
Yeah, no, he's really not good enough that he should have pursued an acting career. But like, if I had to pick watching him in this movie or listening to whatever Black Eyed Peas album was out at this time, I'd pick the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like if we're like listening to things wrong with this film, he's like what, like
He's
25th? I
pretty
don't know.
far down.
Yeah.
Funny enough, we recently, it's incredible how often this comes up, but very recently we did worst films of 2024, and I got to talk in that video about how Danny Houston makes for a bland villain in The Crow. Danny Houston makes for a bland villain in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yes. I
He
also makes for a bland villain Wonder Woman.
Yes, in everything, man.
And I
He
like that
does
he's as an actor, but like, god damn, they do not know how to use you.
no, not at all. Um, but yeah, he does not hold a candle at all to Brian Cox
No,
at all.
no.
It's insane that that's supposed to be.
Which is weird because like I think they're like either the exact same age or like just like a few years off, but he's supposed to be playing the younger version of him.
Yes, yeah. I don't know, man. But yeah, he's out of place in this film. Um, uh, Taylor Kitsch, I could see the vision, but I just don't think he gets enough time on screen to make an impact.
That's the thing. Like, I think that Gambit is one of the. He's one of those like castings in this movie where like we were excited to see Gambit because we want to see Gambit in an X-Men movie for a really
Yes.
long time, and like, oh shit, we're getting Gambit, and he's only in 5 minutes. And like I'm a huge Friday Night Lights fan, so I think that this casting could have worked had they actually like made him part of the movie and not just like one fight and then an escorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen him in enough to say that Taylor Kitsch is talented enough that if he wasn't forced in that position of being like you're the next leading man, he would have had a better career because he is very talented.
Oh yeah, no, like he got two chances to fail, and he did it, and he failed, and he moved on.
Yep.
But then people who like you who keep getting moved, just like why? But yeah, I got beef with this film.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, it's lower for your list. Go ahead.
Yeah, because like okay, so flashback. So it was the summer of 2009. I was down South Texas for. I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again. I was down South Texas for a family reunion, and there's like super nice IMAX theater called Palladium. It's like when I saw my first IMAX film. Eventually, it wasn't this time. A bunch of us wanted to go see the new Star Trek because we heard like great things. We heard it was awesome. We wanted to go watch it. We got to the theater and Star Trek is entirely sold out. And we're just like, well, shit, we're already here. So what's playing? We're like, okay, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Let's go do it. We like the X-Men. Let's see what happens. And we watch and we're just like, fuck. No wonder. This makes sense.
Yeah, no wonder the other one's sold out. Man, were those in theaters at the same time?
They were,
weird.
yes.
Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, this movie sucks. It's like the only reason it gets above the other schlock on the list is because
I think the intro is legitimately like the opening credits are legitimately fantastic.
Yeah. And even that first mission with the team, I think is fine.
Well, because you realize it's cast well. Like,
yes.
I think that Liev Schreiber is pretty solid Sabretooth. We know Ryan Reynolds makes a good Deadpool.
Yes.
And that was like the real genesis of the genesis. Like, oh shit, I'd like to see that dude come back as this character, just not in this movie. And like, I get the rationale behind this because like, spin off your most popular character makes sense, but don't do it like this. And again, I'm not gonna put a lot of onus on Gavin Hood because like
not at all.
He's very clearly bullied by the studio to make a movie that he didn't want to make. Because like you hear like the original concept, you want to do like a really like in-depth character drama about like a guy who's been through a lot of conflict in his life, and you see that in the opening credits when he's going through like all these wars throughout history, and you're like, okay, I see where you were going with this, and the studio's like, nope, we ain't doing that no more.
No. It's another story that's been told a few times of a vision is pitched, they move forward on that vision, and then they almost lose faith, and it turns into this like very generic, muddled like mess of a project where you're right, there are some good castings, there are some half decent moments, but the bad stuff far outweighs the good. I mean, every attempt to try and make this a proper prequel to the X-Men films, be it young Cyclops or Patrick Stewart's just messed up face,
Which,
and
and again, it's also like further like it also further complicates the X-Men timeline because he's
it doesn't make
walking.
sense.
It didn't make sense already, but like it makes work because like he's walking, but as we find out in later films, if he was walking, he would be able to use his mind powers. It's like what the fuck? That's not even the biggest problem. I think the biggest insult for this film, it's been talked about to death, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. What they did to Deadpool.
Yeah,
Like,
it
this,
is.
like another
It is.
character I had been waiting to see on the big screen for a while, and this is what I got.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, no, hell no.
It's awful.
Yeah, I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I don't know who greenlit this concept, but like everything about that was just the worst.
Yeah, it's just it's a bad movie. It's a solid concept that is executed just really badly, and it's all over the board. It's also really cheap looking. The CGI is awful. The
Oh,
claws
the
are
claws somehow look worse than they did 10 years ago.
awful. Yeah, like I guess compared to others, there's more positives than negatives comparatively, but
Yes.
it still sucks.
Yeah, because like we'll talk about it later. Like Dark Phoenix, I have above this. It's because this one pisses me off more than Dark Phoenix
All right,
does.
let's get into it. My 17 is Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
Dark Phoenix is laughably bad.
Yes.
Keyword laughably. I at least found myself in like I and keep in mind 2019 was a great year for film. It was an excellent year for film. And there were some really, really funny films that year. But one of the
Unless
biggest
you were
laughs
James McAvoy.
oh, but one of the biggest laughs I got in a theater that year, I shit you not, was in Dark Phoenix when we get the like first confrontation of the third act on the street, and they're like both
Oh,
trying to get the
the Magneto
genie.
eye roll.
And no, it's Ty Sheridan's delivery of like, I
Oh,
will fucking kill you, and I'm like, oh. Did baby curse for the first time? What was that?
it's so weird because like after first class, they dropped the F bomb and it was so great. It's like, okay, we gotta do this in every movie now. But you
Every
give it
movie.
to the worst possible character you could have given it to.
And I feel so bad because we did the best and worst films on the show very recently, and I don't know if you saw The Order this year.
I did not know.
Okay, so it's the first movie in a few years that I've seen Ty Sheridan in, and he's really good in the film in a supporting role. And it reminded me that like, oh yeah, this guy was like a real popular like up and comer before X-Men ruined him for a few years. Because yeah, just he's not good in this film. Sophie Turner is on a list of a few actors deep where, as someone who's never seen Game of Thrones, people swear these people had talent, and I've not seen it anywhere. Probably the worst offenders are her and Amelia Clark. I just
Yeah.
like, I'll believe you. I'll believe they're great in the show, but they have not been good in much else after.
No, that's fair. And like, I think what this film suffers from is the fact that I don't get the obsession with the consistent obsession with trying to rush to this storyline. Because
Yeah,
part of what made Dark Phoenix work in the comics, I'm sure we'll talk about more in The Last Stand, part of what made that work is the fact that you built up that relationship with Jean Grey. So like when
mm-hmm.
she went turncoat, it was like a genuine shock and like genuinely like hurtful. And I think a big problem with these films is the fact that, like, well, one, they never got Jean right, and two, they always try to rush this storyline without earning it. It's the same problem I have with the Flashpoint, with Flash doing Flashpoint, or BVS
Yeah,
doing
just
Batman vs Superman.
jumping right to it. Yeah.
Like you have to earn these things,
Mm-hmm.
like, or otherwise it just doesn't work. And I think that this would look. I mean, Wolverine pissed me off, but like there's a few things I like about it. There's like not a thing I can point to in this film that I can legitimately say like, you know what? Even like the worst X-Men movies have something like I can point to be like, you know what? At least they have that scene. At least like have that performance of that character. I can't point to a single thing in this film that I thought was like legitimately good because like everyone in this film, everyone felt like they were over it.
I have one thing that I will counter with.
Yes.
I think so there are certain actors in this movie who are generally good in the first place that I think are fine, right? Fassbender's fine. Lawrence is fine because she knows she gets to go home early this time.
Lawrence looks like she'd rather be a POW than be in this movie.
True. Evan Peters is fine. Cody Schmidt-McPhee is fine. Like none of them are like the movie's not good, so none of them are particularly good, but they're all fine. Nicholas Hoult is the one person in this movie who is actually given something to do within the plot with like dealing with the death of Mystique and like how that affects him emotionally, and like the dark turn from him of like he's just so desperate to take down Phoenix that he goes the path he does. And he is actually trying, and I think he's the one performance in the film that is genuinely good. And like you said, like the one scene in the movie where I was like, that was actually a good bit of acting was him and McAvoy in the kitchen. And it's all
what I do like about McAvoy in this film, in fact, like Professor X always has some like glass of brown liquid around him. Like in every scene, like
he's always drunk.
He's always got like this glass of brown. Also, like okay, but the decade hopping got really, really bad. Like the decade hopping thing was already not good. It got really worse here, considering like again, Magneto at this point is supposed to be like 62, and also like what happened in those 10 years that you're just casually just going to space? And not only that, you go casually into space, and you just have a direct line to the president.
But that is also fragile enough that the first thing that goes wrong, it's destroyed.
Yeah, like it's just so much of it just doesn't make any sense. You can see like Kinberg was clearly over his head.
Oh god, yeah. Like, and this wasn't like a bad fluke first picture. I've seen the 355. That's also really badly made. He's not a director.
No.
And he is Julianne Moore in this movie is atrocious as the villain. Chastain. Sorry, Jessica Chastain. Excuse me. Sorry, Julianne.
Chastain, who she's a good actress, and she is so bored in this movie.
Dude, one of the most confusing things I have ever seen was like when she did the 355 with him, and she talked about how like she had such a great experience working with him on Dark Phoenix, and how like she couldn't wait to work with him again. And I'm like, well, your performance didn't say that. What?
Yeah, you think you're just like, where was that? Where was that the whole movie?
Although I will say, like I said, Dark Phoenix, it gets above the others because I mean it's bad, but it made me laugh. Like it is laughably bad, so I got a kick out of it at the very least. But if you really want a laugh, go look up the junket interviews that the cast did for this film and watch the expert dodging of every Kinberg as a director question and how they all deflect it back to he's a great guy. He's such a really nice guy, and it was great to work with him. No one had a compliment.
I'll need to look that up, but yeah, like everyone in the cast,
no one had a thing to say about him being a director, but he was super nice.
There is one funny bit that I liked. It's where they're about to have the final fights, and like Charles is like, "I'm sorry," and like Magneto rolls his eyes like, "God damn, we're doing this shit again." I think the exact line was, "You're always sorry, Charles. It's always speech. No one cares anymore." It's like, thank you.
Yes, that's a great theater. It's a great and they put that in the trailer too, and I'm like, what are you guys trying to sell here? Like,
you're just like you're just making the jokes you've already been making. Like, God damn, this is wow.
They were writing critics reviews before the movie was out.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's my 17. My 16 was Fantastic Four. My 15, which we'll talk about if it's your 14. If not, we'll punt. My 15 is the New Mutants.
If it's at what spot?
So if it's 14, we'll talk about it. If not, we'll wait.
Punt.
Okay, gotcha. We'll wait on that one then. All right, so then let's go ahead and turn it over to your 14.
14 is the best of the Fantastic Four films. It's sad that this is the metric. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
That is technically a punt.
Okay.
All right. So then my 14 is X-Men: The Last Stand.
Punt.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So then we'll move on to 13. What is your 13?
My 13 is the Punt Brothers. Is New Mutants.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I, I think the myth of this movie kind of grew in my head as time went on because I think this was supposed to come out like 2019. It's supposed to come out like super early.
I believe so, but I'm going to research the timeline.
But yeah, because like it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and it was just like, God damn, this is gonna come out at some point. But yeah, it did come out in 2020. This was actually was one of the first movies I went back in theaters to see in 2020. I did risk COVID for the thing that was COVID for Inception, Tenet, and this. This was easily the worst experience of the three. Which is weird because like I saw that first trailer, the one with the not Nirvana, Pink Floyd. And I'm like, that was kind of cool. It's like a cool, different, like horror-esque take on the X-Men franchise. I'm like, okay, I can dig this. But then you watch it, it's like, oh no. And I liked Josh Boone's last movie. I was a big fan of The Fault in Our Stars. I'm like, okay, try something different, that's fine. But they're just like, okay, you clearly had like I don't know if this is like reshot, but it feels like this movie's like completely tone deaf because it hasn't like super like serious, super scary, or like super like haunting. It followed up by like jokes and like things that aren't supposed to be jokes, come across as jokes.
Let me tell you, I'm not going to bother surfing it live for notes, but if anybody wants an interesting read, the post-production section of this film on Wikipedia is legitimately a 10-paragraph, like, cited essay. Like, so much happened to this movie.
Yeah, I buy it.
And which, by the way, I did find, so it had 5 release dates. So it was April 13th, 2018.
Was 18, okay.
February 22nd, 2019. August 2nd, 2019. April 3rd, 2020. And then August 28th, 2020.
Okay.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah. It felt like the pre-Craven, because Craven got pushed back a lot.
Yeah, and it's since been revealed that the only reason this didn't get sent to Disney Plus is because some of the actors who signed on had theatrical contractual guarantees. So they had to put it out in a theater.
Well, I mean, I hope their paychecks weren't based on those theatrical guarantees because, yeah, you ain't getting paid if that was the case.
No, they did not get paid.
No, because, yeah, this movie tried to line between, like, real, like, horror comic book stuff, which we didn't see a whole lot of back then, and, like, things that are just, like, way too silly and goofy, like, and also, like, the effects aren't great. The logistics of the place don't make sense. You have this, like, whole dude facility that is run by one person, and by the way, one can leave whenever she wants. She chooses not to. And again, you have good actors like Anya Taylor-Joy. We know she's a great actress. I like Charlie Heaton a lot in Stranger Things. I think the dude's a good actor.
And I think those are the two to me that stand out as the best in this group. Like in this movie, I think they're both.
I'll give credit to Maisie Williams. I like Maisie Williams.
I will say, actually, I should say, because I literally just shit on Game of Thrones actors a moment ago. She is not one of them. Everything I've seen her in outside of it, I think she's been decent. Most of them are good. Like Kit Harington, I think has been fine in other things. Momoa was on that shit list for a long time, but he's good enough in Dune that I'll take him off. Just for that one movie alone, I'm like, okay, I get it. In the perfect role, like he works. Which, we have hope for Minecraft. But yeah, I think the problem for me is and I mean no disrespect to the actress. Blue Hunt is probably the worst of the 5 performers in this film, and she's the one that it mostly centers around.
And she has to carry the emotional weight of the film, and it's like, hey.
And she just isn't. She wasn't as experienced going into this, and she just isn't simply as good as the rest of them. And again, that's no disrespect to her, but just that is what it is. When the supporting cast completely is stronger than who the film is weighted off of, it hurts the movie.
Yeah, and also like the fact that the twists are completely obvious. The tie-ins to the X-Men franchise ties into the most random X-Men movie. Like I never would have called that. So it's like, okay, gonna tie into stuff. Like, wait, tying into Logan? Are you fucking serious? Like, how does that make any sense? Like, I am fascinated by what it would look like if I think Antonio Banderas was gonna be in it. I think he got cut.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because you're right. It ties into Logan, but at one point it also tied into X-Men Apocalypse because
Yeah,
Antonio
it was run by
Banderas
Essex.
was supposed to play Essex.
Oh, he wasn't Mr.
And
Sinister.
yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's who he was supposed to play. And I believe at one point or another, he was supposed to be in the post-credit scene for Apocalypse. That never happened. And he was supposed to be in this movie, and that never happened either.
Yeah, I feel like Mr. Sinister's tried to be a thing in a couple movies, and like it just hasn't happened yet. I think it was rumored for a while that he was going to be the villain of Logan, and we ended up not needing him. But yeah, I feel like we've tried Mr. Sinister and stuff, and it just like has not worked, or it hasn't panned out as of yet. And hey, look, Feige, Marvel, you need a Mr. Sinister. You're right. He's right there. And also, am I making this up? It wasn't like John Hamm supposed to do it at some point.
I believe Hamm's name got thrown around after Banderas.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that. Again, the production of this movie was such a mess that
Yeah, even then, like after all that, the movie itself is just kind of average. Which like I think that's the worst part.
So I keyword searched the Wikipedia to try and find the answer. So originally they wanted Banderas for Mr. Sinister, and then they decided to switch gears and they wanted to make Banderas the father of Sunspot.
Oh,
and
okay.
when they switched gears with that, then Hamm was the choice for Mr. Sinister.
Okay.
None of this footage ever got shot. It was all supposed to be post-credit scene stuff, and Disney said, "We're not paying for that. Are you kidding me? No."
You want to shoot? Why shoot this shit? Get the fuck out.
Who do you think we are? Warner Brothers? We're not paying for you to shoot footage that's not in the movie. Yeah, like the kindest thing that I can say about it reaching number 13 reaching number 15 for me, 13 for you, sorry, is like for all of the mess that the movie had production wise, it's fine.
Yeah, like it's okay.
It's a shoulder shrug.
Which is kind of like the best and worst case scenario for this film.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: like, if anything, I'm glad that Deadpool and Wolverine exists because it's a much better ending to this universe than this movie is.
Yeah, for the while, this was the last X-Men movie we'd ever get.
Which it's sad because at the time when I saw this movie, I think my exact words out of the theater was, "Well, it's a better ending than Dark Phoenix was."
I mean, yes, but also, it was Dark Phoenix was the ending, and this was the ending.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, well, you got a slightly better ending, not a great one, but a slightly better one.
If you put a gun to my head, I guess I'll watch this again over watching Dark Phoenix, but
yeah,
probably will never see either. All right. Well, unless you got anything more to add, we'll go on to my 13.
Yeah.
Which is the punt from earlier, X-Men Apocalypse.
Okay.
This movie's biggest sin is just it's fucking boring.
That's a problem with this one because, and also, I think the movie even before it came out, it was kind of fighting an uphill battle because, so like when this was pitched, when Vaughn came into First Class, what he wanted to do was he wanted to do First Class, then Apocalypse, and then Days of Future Past. And then Fox was just like, how about you just get Days of Future Past right now? I was like, okay, fine. Fuck yeah, I'm out. So they went to Days of Future Past, and then this. So like, automatically the stakes are already like pretty low because guess who survives? Everyone we saw in the last movie. I was gonna say
I had never actually heard that story before, but A, I do believe that, and B, yeah, that sounds like a better formulation for the ordering of
Well,
these.
because like if you go straight to issue to past, sure you have this amazing story, but you kind of like completely take the stakes out of Apocalypse. But like, okay,
Yeah.
let's just say like, okay, you do Apocalypse. You also like you cast a kick-ass actor in Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse, and this
Yes.
is like when he was on like the big upswing because he just got Star Wars. He had the most violent year. He had like it's Llewyn Davis. He's coming off like this string of like really really great movies, and like he was a big Apocalypse fan. And Apocalypse, like in the comics, is like the fucking awesome villain. Like, I think like other than Magneto, like the X Men's best villain. Well, okay, I'm sorry, Magneto, Prejudice, Apocalypse, in,
Okay.
in that order. And like okay, yeah, like that could be like a really really cool
Wait, did you just say
casting.
Prejudice?
Yes, Prejudice.
That just clicked with me. Okay.
But yeah, like that could be really cool casting, but they do nothing with him like at all. Like they just take anything cool about him and like I add think of practical effects, not like this because he just looks ridiculous.
Yeah, no, because I don't know what's worse, like the set photos where clearly somebody watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and thought that's a good design,
He looked like Ivan
or
Ooze. It was the weirdest thing.
the really bad post color grading that's done on him that just absolutely sucks the life out of the costume. I don't know what is worse.
Yeah.
Like,
His motivations are absolutely uninteresting. Where you're like, oh,
yeah,
he wants to destroy the world. I haven't seen that before.
and what's like even then, like given the time when the movie came out, like it just at the time it just felt like a repeat of what Marvel did with Ultron. Because even the same thing of like
Yeah.
watching media is the way that you catch up, and you're like, oh well, humans have to die. Clearly, that's the answer.
Yeah, like it just felt like they took a great villain and made him just generic. I think this movie's biggest sin. The things I will give credit
Mm-hmm.
for in this film, one, Fassbender I think is legitimately awesome in this.
Excellent.
Like when like in the scene where his wife and daughter are killed in the most ridiculous way possible. Like killed with the tiniest bow and arrow, freaking and just but like Fassbender acts the shit out of that scene.
Oh, he's selling it so hard.
He is. He goes for it, and he's fucking awesome. The Quicksilver scene, despite the fact that it's just a retread of the scene from Days of Future Past, I think still works from a cinematic perspective. I think that like it's still well shot and well edited, and it is a fun sequence, despite the fact that like you watch this like did everyone out? Nope, had him still in there. There's that, and I also think the Wolverine sequence, despite the fact that it didn't need to be in this movie, was
Nope.
pretty sweet. Did not need to be here at all.
No. And can I just say, as awesome as that sequence is, possibly the weirdest moment in any X-Men film is the romantic foreshadowing between the teenager and the 50-year-old hairy man.
Oh yeah, just like I'm totally gonna want to bang you later.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
Look,
Please don't.
we ain't done. To clear side cuts. Hey, fuck you. That makes sense later.
Yeah, like as you said, like Fassbender. To be fair, most of the actors in this, I think, are perfectly fine. I think on paper the castings were all solid.
Oh yeah, no, like on paper, this is like a really good cast. I mean, you had
Like
again a good mix of like up and comers. Like Alexander Shipp was coming out straight out of Compton. Ben Hardy was doing stuff. Ben Hart, by the way, Angel, what a fucking waste because like the Archangel, like him getting tortured to insanity to work for Apocalypse, is like one of like craziest X-Men storylines, and it's like done in like one scene here.
how do you take a character that has the potential to be so interesting and butcher it twice that hard?
Right.
And with two good actors, obviously, like Ben fucking Foster went on to become an excellent actor in the first one, and you're like, twice we've done this.
And even like Psylocke, again, another character who like X-Men fans wanted to see on the big screen. They just reduced down to this fucking generic henchman. It's just like, why are we doing this? And like, I'm getting a really good laugh. The fact that like it ends with her just walking off stage left. And she just walks off the movie.
Almost as if to be like, I'll be back for more. No, you won't. That's the pattern with these films. Like,
yeah,
no one comes back.
it just feels like a movie felt made by people who, like, I was shocked when, I mean, I wasn't, okay, like, I knew he directed going in, but, like, if I didn't know watching it, I'd be shocked to find out this is from the same guy who gave us the first two X-Men Days of Future Past. Because Days of Future Past, I thought did such a great job of, like really recent timeline and, like, getting everything in order.
It's a movie that, and to give Singer, not that I want to go out of my way to give Bryan Singer credit at this point, but to give Singer a little bit of credit, the craftsmanship of this movie, I think, is still on par with his previous 4 films. Like, I think the action is still generally executed well. I think, in theory, the characters are executed well enough. I think a number of the performances are, like, Fassbender, McAvoy, they still care. Evan Peters is good. Cody Schmidt-McPhee probably stands out to me the most of all the new cast that they brought in.
I thought he was an awesome casting as Nightcrawler.
Yeah, he was a great pick. But just it feels like Singer was done. Like, it felt like in 3 films he had said all he had to say with the X-Men, and now this is just going through the motions for a 4th one.
Yeah, it felt like he had Stanford Apocalypse because he felt like he had to. Like, exactly. It felt like he didn't want to make Apocalypse. It felt like he was just coerced into doing it. And also, this does have, again, one of my favorite tropes of the X-Men films. Teasing cool shit that you never see again. Like, the ending uniforms that they get are so fucking cool. They look so awesome. And what do we get in the next film? Never see them again. Never see them again.
It also, this movie immediately loses a point for having the balls to try and make the 3rd film is the worst joke in a franchise that had 2 third films that were the worst at that point.
And not only that, like, this movie, I think, sucks way worse than Last Stand.
Yeah. Well, I guess I have it ranked above it by 1 place, but that's just because I think it's better made than Last Stand is. I'd probably rewatch Last Stand first. Like, it is definitely more entertaining.
Yeah, like, again, but also, like, good job, movie. You fucking played yourself. Fuck it. Yeah, I think that you had, like, this great opportunity to send this franchise back, because, like, Days of Future Past did it. They cleaned up the timelines. They got us back on track. Okay, let's go have some fun, cool X-Men adventures. And no, we're just doing all the same shit. And it's not as fun or interesting in this one. Because, like, we've already seen everything. We've seen the X-Men do it. We've seen Wolverine get forced in the movie when you could spend your time focusing on these other mutants and, like, building their grit, building their relationships, and making them work as a team. As opposed to, like, bring Wolverine in to, do his thing. And as cool as that scene was, did not need to be here. And I think that's why I have it lower, because, like, my frustration with this movie mount to higher degrees. And, like, also discarding everything with the X-Men comics, like making Mystique like a central focus. Like, no, that's not how that works. Angel's a Russian cage fighter. Psylocke's a henchman. Jubilee never gets her name said again. Keep a tradition. Yeah, this movie just. I thought it was fun.
Oh yeah, Jubilee is in this movie. That's right.
Jubilee, played by a good actress. I like Lana Condor.
Yeah.
But they give her, like, the one scene of her using her powers gets cut.
Yeah. What a movie, man. All right, so
it's no wonder this movie bombed.
And they still kept going. What is your number 12 to cap this one off?
My number 12 is the movie I talked about earlier. It's X-Men: The Last Stand.
Okay, awesome.
It's nice knowing we didn't have any crossover. At least no movie like jumping to the next episode.
Yeah. We can build the bottom half of the list before we end the recording, because we have all this. Because I'll say my 12 is Rise of the Silver Surfer. We have all the same films. So yeah. So tell me about The Last Stand. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Last Stand. Again, talked about Blade. There was this weird tradition with Marvel films, especially like the trilogies, where like you had like a solid first film, a better sequel. And then third film, you just say, "Fuck it, throw it to the wind," and you do this, and it's not Blade Trinity bad. It's still bad, but the reason it's higher for me than Apocalypse, I think that. Well, first of all, I think let me just say, I gotta start with positives first before I get into the negatives, because I have more to say about the negatives. I think that X-Men: The Last Stand is a little underrated in that it does some really, really good things among the bad stuff, like. This gave us Kelsey Grammer as Beast, who is
Yes.
the fucking best version of that character. No disrespect to Nicholas Hoult. I like Nicholas Hoult. But I think when I think of Beast, I think of this. I think of the guy who's animalistic but sophisticated, who tries to be smarter than the monster. Like I think that Kelsey Grammer and, but I don't give him credit, Brett Ratner, they did nail this character. Like I think of the scene where he finds out that the cure had been weaponized, and he goes to talk to his boss, and he's just like, yeah, like there are dangerous mutants out there, like we had to do something, and it makes you question, like, yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, what would makes you question, like, what would you do in this situation? Like, yeah, no, I get it. I will also give credit that this was the first X-Men film, and one of the few that actually does it. One of the few that does do it, where you have a bunch of X-Men throwing down as a team. Like, I think that's something people forget. We don't get a ton of that in the X-Men movies. Like, it doesn't happen very often. Usually, like, 2 or 3 fighting inside, like, the forest or a school. Where, like, this one, you have a bunch of X-Men throwing down against a bunch of mutants. Like, that was something we don't get very often. I think the team dynamic works. I think that they thankfully ditched the accent for Halle Berry. I think they get her the best wig she has in the franchise at this point.
That accent, man.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it in the next one. But yeah, all that to say is, I think X-Men: The Last Stand deserves some credit for the thing, and also the house sequence is pretty sweet. That fight, I think the action sequences actually here aren't terrible. I think that's why, like, when you look at YouTube, they have actually like decent hits. So I will give X-Men: The Last Stand credits for what they did correctly. However, it does not balance out against what they did incorrectly, which is to say, just take things about this franchise and just like say, like, nah, fuck it. Like, again, I think that, like, Magneto, like, one thing about Magneto was, like, let the pawns go first, and, like, Magneto, even as he's written this movie, he would never just, like, knowingly forsake mutants to lose that ability. Like, that's not what he does.
It like, even as somebody who doesn't have like a deep well of comic knowledge, and it's like what I've discussed with people, the little bit that I've researched and read, and then mostly going off the films, even just in the films itself, it is so out of character the way that he behaves in the film. And then they go one step further with him literally forcefully sacrificing Mystique.
See, that one I'll go to bat for, because, like, that does really show how deep his prejudice goes. So, like, that I'll vouch. It's him sending mutants to, like, knowingly sending mutants to lose their powers, and just, like, no, like, Magneto, even as he's written in this franchise, would never do that. Also, this is our first ever botching of the Phoenix Saga.
Yeah.
Which
is incredible, considering they actually did set it up this time, and it still doesn't work.
It still doesn't work because, again, I think they fundamentally, like, misunderstand Jean and will make that story work, because, like, no, like, first of all, the mutant class system, which is never introduced before this film, it's like, she's the only class 5 mutant I've ever encountered. Like, there's mutant classes? When did we go over that? Like, okay, let me rewind. The watch last season. Nope, never mentioned. So you just made that shit up. No, like, the Phoenix Force is not her reaching her full potential. Like, it's just, that's not how that works. Like, it's a whole, like, cosmic space god thing that, like, takes a lot of explanation that they were not prepared to do in 2000s. But, like, even for this era, this didn't fully gel. Killing off mutants left and right, despite the fact that, like, it didn't leave an impact. Like, killing off Cyclops, okay, but cool. Like, that sucks, because, like, Cyclops should be there in the fights when they are trying to take down Jean.
Yeah,
like, he really should be there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like, again, and it's technically, I guess you could say it's also a weakness of the other 2 films, but the thing is, I thought this movie actually did a good job of giving Cyclops some sense of emotional stake, and I actually think, in the moment, like, the most interesting portrayal of him is that kind of unhinged attitude he has at the start of the movie, and it felt like
it was, but I wish they kept that going. Like, they should.
Yes, like,
and I get why. I get why they killed him off, because he had to go shoot. He had to go do the exact same role as Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
can't do the same thing in that movie. But I do get it, but at the same time, like, if that's the case, like, Cyclops had the most emotional investment in Jean. Well, he had the most emotional investment in Jean. This is his chance to really break out and become a stronger character, be, like, at the forefront with Wolverine. Because, like, Cyclops, he's a member of the X-Men. Like, he should be at the forefront. Not that Wolverine shouldn't, but he should be as vital, as important, as big, as developed as Wolverine. And this felt like it was
Yes.
just his chance, and they didn't take it.
Yeah, and the other thing with this movie is, and I wonder if this is a case of there were edits made to it, or if this just is what it was. For a movie that's trying to adapt not just the Dark Phoenix saga, but also I believe it's Gifted, right? Is the other storyline it's doing with the mutant
Yes.
cure. To
Yes.
be less than 2 hours and try and cram all of this in while also being the conclusion of a trilogy, like, you're just asking way too much of anyone. Even if Singer had tried to make this movie as it was, you're asking way too much of anyone to try and fit all of this in one shot. And it comes across exactly that way. Some of it is genuinely well performed and well developed, and some of it is just really, really not.
Yeah, I think that like some of the things they tried to include, like multiple man had no reason to be here. Like he was literally only here for like the one joke towards the end of the movie. Juggernaut, he only in the movie because he was a meme at the time,
Yep.
so they put the meme in the movie. Uh, but yeah, I think that this is among like the great disappointments, the great cinematic disappointments of my life because I remember being there for those first two X Men and like loving those first two X Men's and
Mm.
to have what we thought was the end of the trilogy finish like this, you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, and then I guess to kind of hit on the thing to me that I think disappointed me the most is funny enough, through all three films, the most interesting through line, I think, where in each film it is consistently kind of interesting to watch, is the development of Rogue and Iceman and Pyro. And I feel like even going into this movie, there is continuing interesting development with those characters and her confrontation emotionally with the concept of this cure. And they kind of just dropped the ball on the ending. Like it kind of just, it doesn't feel, it like obviously it resolves, but it's not a resolution that provides any kind of satisfaction, but it also doesn't provide like closure in a way that even if it wasn't satisfying, you could accept it. Like it ends. Like that is what it is.
Yeah, and also like the fact that I think and like it's no disrespect to Anna Paquin, she did what she was told. I just think that Rogue was not done properly in these films
Mm,
because I feel like the way she's written is just she's not bad. She's not Rogue. Like I'm saying, and like I think it's epitomized towards the end of the film when she gives up her powers and just like okay, so you go from barely recognizable to completely unrecognizable. It's just yeah, I think that Rogue. I think that anything they did with Rogue in these first three wasn't particularly great. I did like how they finished the conflict between Iceman and Pyro. Like
mm,
I think that was a good well earned moment.
yeah.
But also like I question how Magneto chooses the mutants who in his inner circle because like okay like the girl who can is fast and can see mutants coming. I get her. How did 1 inch Spike guy get in Magneto's like upper echelon? Like he's a guy who like he has like an inch worth of spice to him. It's like he can kill you if he can get to within 1 inch of you.
Um. Hey man, listen. Everyone's got their thing. Okay.
Yeah, I just this movie just
Uh,
it's
everyone
so
has a
it's
use.
like I said, it tries to do too much. It just tries to do too much.
Yeah. Like it's I respect, especially with Ratner coming in like so last minute. I respect the effort, which again I hate to say about Brett Ratner, but like I respect the effort, but it doesn't come good.
Well, yeah, I think that you look at the people who turned it down. I think it was like I'm trying to remember. So like it was Matthew Vaughn said no because there wasn't enough time, which is ironic because he did X Men: The Last Stand in less time. Sorry, he did First Class in less time than he played what
Mm.
it was after this one. Peter Burr, I think, turned it down. Zack Snyder was working on 300 at the time. Alex Proyas, I think, was one who was thrown around.
That would have been different.
Proyas would have been interesting.
That would be a choice.
But yeah, I'm trying. I know there are other people who were.
Do we get the Crow or do we get Gods of Egypt?
Yeah, I think Price was feuding with Fox at the time, which is why he didn't do it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, Brett
there's
Ratner was
some
like
interesting.
the
I found
the
some.
seventh guy called.
I found some. Again, take Wikipedia for what it's worth. According to Wikipedia, the director of Electro is considered, although I'm assuming that's before they watched Electro.
So they were like, "Oh, no, we're wrong.
Never mind.
Get those keys back."
Yeah. Oof, I mean, just even reading the Wikipedia here, like in February 05 with no director attached, Fox announced a May 2006 date with filming to start in July.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had potential, but in the end, I would say it's still disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, possibly the most positive will potentially sound all episode because while it's still not good, it is a marketed improvement over the other one. My number 12 is Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Okay.
Let's get it out of the way. Galactus, the fart cloud.
I don't understand the obsession we had this era with cloud-based villains. And the crazy thing is, like, when I don't remember this scene, like he passed a planet, you saw like his shadow, and it looked like Galactus from the comics.
Yes.
Then he gets to Earth, just like, okay, no, no. See, you know when teachers in school say show your work when you did math, like this is what math, show your work because like I want to see where you went dumb. Like that's why I want to know, and I think that with this one, I think they kind of lean more into like the ridiculous nature, like they're bringing the fantastic car, which is kind of fun. Silver Surfer, I think like the first sequence with him and Johnny Storm, I actually think is pretty solid. I think Silver Surfer looks cool. I think I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Silver Surfer. I don't think the voice matches. I mean, I like Doug Jones. I like Lawrence Fishburne. I think Fishburne's voice coming out of Doug Jones' body is a little strange.
Yeah, it's not like if Silver Surfer were built differently, I could have seen Lawrence Fishburne working, but the problem is he does just have the build of Doug Jones in a suit. And
look,
the body doesn't.
I know. You can have like a muscular dude with a little voice. Look at David Beckham. But it takes you out a little bit.
Yeah, and again, I think in terms of the Fantastic Four, I would say nothing got worse, nothing got better. I don't think Ian Grufford and Jessica Alba are any better, but I don't think Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis are any worse. I think they're so easily the two strongest people in this. Julian McMahon, not improved.
I don't think he might have gotten worse. He might have gotten worse between the two films.
He might have gotten worse. I don't know. To me, the one interesting element of this, and obviously more so since I've become more familiar with him, Andre Braugher as the general.
I mean, Andre Braugher was good in anything he did,
and he's a great actor. But that feels like the type of role where it was supposed to be a deep cut comic reference, and then at the last minute they changed the name. And I just don't know what the reference was supposed to be. But he is good in this movie. I think that he has that. It's a weird comparison, but he has that same commanding presence that you see with him as like a Captain Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but obviously playing it straight.
Yeah, no, he understands the assignments. Mm-hmm. I think that's why I'll give him credit. This is why, like when his character died, I was actually very sad. I'm like, no, he got it. Like my favorite line of his, where he literally just says point blank, is like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" But yeah, like nothing got like again. The reason this is higher than the first one because I do think the stuff with Silver Surfer is actually pretty interesting. I do like that character. I do think he's pretty cool. I'm thankful they stopped. I'm not sure if you ever heard this story, but like the third one, if they got a third one, it would have introduced Black Panther, played by played by Djimon Hounsou, which I like that casting, but like
Good casting.
I shudder to think what Djimon Hounsou would have been like. I shudder to think what Black Panther would have been like in this franchise.
That is, wow. No, I'd never heard that. I mean, like especially at the time, Djimon Hounsou is a good pick. I imagine he would have done well. But my problem is Tim Story treats these films too much like his own comedies.
Yeah,
and
I like Tim Story as a comedic director. I think like he's done some really good stuff, but
like I genuinely, I know he didn't direct all of them, but like I genuinely like the barbershop movies. They're funny comedies.
They're funny, they're good.
But it doesn't work. That tone doesn't suit this.
Because like you also like it can be fun, they can have comedy, but they also gotta be heroes at some point.
Which, by the way, Wikipedia has been my savior this episode with weird fun facts. I was absolutely correct. Andre Braugher was supposed to play Nick Fury, but they didn't want to pay for the rights to license him.
That would have been so cool. That would have been so cool.
I see the casting. I see it.
I see that too. That would have been cool. And he definitely would have died.
No. They would have built the cinematic universe. You got to keep him alive.
You got to.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't really have much to say about this one, except I enjoyed watching it more than the first one, but it's not really any better.
I mean, they approach Deadpool levels of disrespect with what they did with Galactus, but didn't quite piss me off in that same way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's one of those things where, like, because, like, again, like, as someone who doesn't have a deep comics connection, there are certain things that I look at that people who know the comics get upset over, and I just kind of go, I guess I could see it, but it doesn't bother me. Like, the famous one is, like, I love Iron Man 3, and I have no problems with what they did with the Mandarin, but I can get it.
I think that there are certain things movies do that hit differently if you're a fan of the
I look at what Galactus could be, and even just the shadow of Ralph Ineson in that trailer, like, I see what it could be. And I see what this did.
I don't love it. I mean, I love Ralph Ineson. I love the character of Galactus. I don't love the choice of that being the villain for the first Fantastic Four film, but whatever.
It feels big.
It does. I think if I was making the movie, I would have gone with something smaller, like maybe like an Annihilus or a Mole Man, or someone who's a little smaller time. Because like Galactus, that's like an Avengers level threat. Like you can like have that as an Avengers film. But I don't like making the first villain, but you know what? I still trust in Feige & Company to do the right thing. So we'll see how that turns out.
All right. Well, unless you have anything to add, we can.
Nope. Look, it's funny because I thought people in my class about people were like they're trying. They always roll their eyes. They're trying Fantastic Four again. It's like, okay, come on. You gotta understand. You have to actively try to make a movie worse than the last one. Like, no matter like how good or bad this next one is, we can only go up. Like, it's only gonna get better.
That's true. Well, don't say that.
Again, you have to actively try to make something worse than Fantastic.
That's true.
And I mean,
at least if it's
actively
fun.
Try.
But all right. Well, since we did have the same 11 films, we can go ahead and build the bottom half of the list here. All right. So we'll start with 12. Let's see. So we have, because I did keep notes of where we had everything placed. So we have Silver Surfer and X-Men: The Last Stand are both at 12 and 14 respectively. I'll give you the choice of what goes higher since I'll let you start.
So between what two?
Of Silver Surfer or Last Stand?
I'll go Last Stand.
Okay. All right, we'll do X-Men: The Last Stand goes 12th, and Silver Surfer will go 13th. Then we'll go on to, we have another split of Apocalypse and New Mutants. Even though I did have Apocalypse ranked higher, just because it is so boring, I'm okay with New Mutants going over it.
Yeah, I'll put New Mutants over Apocalypse.
because like I take quality of filmmaking into account when I rank things, but even like it's more boring.
That's fair.
All right. Then Fantastic Four would go next because it's both our 16s.
Mm.
And then I'll give you another choice here. We have 3 that are all in a similar range with each other. So we have Dark Phoenix, which is a 17 and 19. We have Daredevil, which is a 17 and 20. And we have X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is 18 and 20. Which one do you want highest ranked of those?
So they're all so
or lowest, if you want to pick which one goes lowest, either way.
I would say Daredevil at the highest, because like it at least has Colin Farrell and MCD.
All right. Then I'm going to say that Phoenix is better than Origins.
That's fair. I'll give you that one.
All right. And then down to the final 3. I'll let you pick which one goes last of these 3. I have Trinity at 18th, 21st, Elektra at 19th, 22nd, or Fantastic at 21st, 22nd.
I think law of averages, I think that Fantastic Four has to go at the bottom, just because you and I both have their bottom 2.
All right. We'll put Fantastic at the bottom, and then Elektra most definitely should not get higher than that. Which means Blade Trinity, you make number 20.
That's fair.
Congratulations. It's the highest you've ever gotten. All right. Well, that is the first half of the list. We'll save reading the list for the second half when we have it in total. But Chance, that wraps up the first half of this video. Any final words before we head out of here? And since it'll be a few days till part 2 comes up, I'll also let you plug anything that you have you want to plug, YouTube channels, your podcast, anything else.
Yeah, so the Earth by Chance, and the podcast, and the YouTube channel. We do film content, and also we like football. We put football content. My Twitter and Instagram at Chance_91. And yeah, I am excited to I don't know what I'll have out at the time of recording. This time this drops, but we'll have something.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm excited to get the next part and talk about some Marvel films I actually like.
Yeah, that's true. It worked out evenly. We'll get the bad ones, then we'll get the good ones. Yeah, guys, and again, I obviously everyone I have on the show, I'm endorsing because I like talking to them, and I would say you should support their stuff. But go support their podcast. Both himself and Russell Howell, 2 generally very intelligent guys in terms of discussing film, and it is they have some good discussions and at times some very deep discussions, because each podcast is really focused on one film, so you guys can get into it and really talk about the topic at hand. Also, I believe it's Facebook, right? People can vote on what films come up next.
We tend to do polls on like what you want us to watch and review. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, till the next part, guys. Tune back in just a few days for that. Until then, we'll see you. Take care, everybody.